Hello, MP Julie Zerowitz. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, we'll be talking about the hottest topic right now in Canada, the federal election taking place on April 28th. So we know you're running for a fourth time. What motivates you to seek the re-election?
Olá, Teresa. Obrigada pelo vosso convite. É prazer estar aqui com vocês.
Obrigada.
It's great to be here in this interview, and it's nice to see you again. Look, I am running in my fourth election, and I'll tell you, I'm running for two main things, Teresa. First, as you know, President Trump has unfortunately started economic warfare against Canada and most parts of the world, Europe and Asia in particular, or China in particular. So our economy has now become very unpredictable in Canada, and what's happening is there is a big fear about people's jobs, people's investments, whether businesses are able to even be able to do any business planning. So there's a lot of fears around our economy. And so what happened is I decided I was going to run because Mark Carney became the leader of our Liberal Party and then Prime Minister. And for those that don't know, Mark Carney had 30 years in the public service. He's a child of two teachers. So he comes from very modest background. And so he then went into, finance, went into the public service, became the governor of the Bank of Canada, then the governor of the Bank of England. And then he came back to Canada, works in the business world as a business executive. But he also has experience working with the United Nations on climate change and in Canada with housing leaders on housing. Okay. So I need a leader who is calm, who has experience, who understands economics and business, and who will know, not only have a plan, but will know the actions that is going to create more jobs in Canada and make sure that he is ensuring that our pensions and our investments are protected for now moving forward. So that's part one. Part two is we've made a lot of good gains over the last few years around programs. And the two big programs that are very popular for the Portuguese community is our childcare program, because all of a sudden it's saving between $11,000 and $13,000 a year for every child. So a national childcare program, I want to protect it. The Conservatives did not vote in favor of national childcare. And the second program, which is so popular, especially among our seniors, is the National Dental Care Program. So that has been a lifeline for our Portuguese community, particularly seniors. And so those are only two of maybe 7 or 8 programs that we put into place. But those are two key reasons why I am running again in this next election. And I'll also say to everyone, look, because I represent the largest Portuguese community in the country, every decision I make, every time I speak in Ottawa, the Portuguese community will always be at the very heart of every decision I make because I represent them. And it is important that we never forget who we are representing. And I'll just mention one more thing, because I met some business leaders last night, Teresa, when I was canvassing, and they said, Julie, we're struggling. And they're Portuguese. And I said to them, this is why I support Mark Carney, is because he understands economics and finance, and he's going to know how it is that we need to be protecting not only our economy, our jobs, but also supporting our small business.
You talked a bit already about this, but I would like to explore it a bit further. What would you say are your main priorities if re-elected?
So thank you, and you're right. I did touch on it a little bit. It will be jobs and economy. So in our community, people are fearful about their jobs, and I feel it is very important that people know where the jobs are, where the training opportunities are, how to get into apprenticeships, how to get into skilled trades. All of those things are very important. In Canada, with President Trump attacking us from an economic perspective, yes, we will lose some jobs, but because we are eliminating the interprovincial trade barriers and the regulations, we're also going to be creating more jobs across Canada. And it is important for Canadians to know where the jobs. So if you're losing some jobs in Mississauga, maybe there's jobs in Brampton or downtown Toronto. If you're losing jobs maybe in Windsor, maybe there's jobs in Sault Ste. Marie or different parts of Canada. But it's critical that people know where the jobs are, and we want good paying jobs. Secondly, I've had a number of people within the community say to me, Julie, my son wants to be an electrician. My daughter wants to be a carpenter, but we're having a hard time getting access to apprenticeships. So federal government's put a lot of money to apprenticeship, but we made it hard for people to access it. We have to make it very easy for people to access those apprenticeships and skilled trades. Right now, because we have made a massive announcement, Teresa, to double the pace of how many houses we're building. The federal government is getting into the housing market. We're going to help build. We're going to go from 250,000 new houses and apartments and co-ops every year to almost 500,000 every single year. But that means we need workers. So we are going to first find a pathway to citizenship for non-status construction workers. Then we're going to work with the industry, we're going to work with the unions, and we're going to work with government to say how many more workers do we need to have construction workers. So we're going to make sure the Canadians know about those programs, and whatever jobs Canadians don't know how to fill, we're going to bring in from internationally. So it's going to be jobs and economy. Again, the other thing I'd say to you is healthcare. I have not mentioned that to you. Now, healthcare is a provincial legislation, Teresa, okay? So that means the federal government can give money to the province, but the province, from a constitutional perspective, has to deliver healthcare. But what's happened is the federal government gave a lot of money to the provinces, but here in Ontario, we're not seeing the results. Too many people still need more mental health services. Too many people still need more home care. Too many people still need more access to a family doctor. So what I am committed to is making sure that the money we give to the province, they have to be transparent. That means they have to make public where are they putting the money and how are they using federal money to improve the healthcare in Ontario. They have to make it public. And then I would say to you, housing is the last thing. Everybody is scared. They're bringing up their families in Toronto. They're bringing up their families in my community of Davenport, but they're saying, Julie, my kid can't afford a home here or rent here or a co-op here. And so we have said we are making that a priority. And people need to know Mark Carney is not only a leader in the economy and finance, but for years, even before he started running for leadership, he has been working with housing advocates across the country to figure out how do we do better? How do we go faster? How do we make sure that every Canadian will have access to an affordable home and affordable place to live moving forward?
As we know, the campaign has largely focused on US tariffs and trade. So as a result, other issues such as immigration haven't been as prominent. So what can people expect from the Liberal Party on immigration?
So, Teresa, thank you for the opportunity to talk about immigration. It is one of the top issues. So first of all, I'm going to start off in a very Canadian way, Teresa. We often start off our speeches with apologies. The Canadian government, as you know, the Trudeau, the Liberal government is very much a government of immigration. Like, we believe that immigrants are good for our country. And they come here, they work hard, they pay taxes, they contribute to building our country, okay? But what happened is there was a problem with international students and consultants for those international students taking advantage of our immigration system. The apologies is we took too long to fix the problem, okay? So what ended up happening is we had many international students come here, and they took advantage of a loophole in our international student program. And so what happens, the federal government says, we apologize, we made a mistake. Now what we need to do is we need to fix the problem, okay? So right now we have cut our international students significantly, and we also cut our overall immigration numbers, Teresa. So what we usually bring in around 400, 500,000 new Canadians, we've gone down to under 400,000 now, okay? Because we have to make sure with the integrity of our immigration system goes back to normal. That is critical for us. In the meantime, we know, and you and I have talked about this for years, we have a lot of construction workers here that have been here for 10 years, for 15 years. They have been building our homes, they've been building our community centers, our cities, and our country. It is critical that we find a pathway to citizenship for them. We've now allocated 6,000 spaces. In my opinion, this is not an official position of anyone, but in my opinion, if we have more than 6,000 people apply, and they've been here and they're legal, they don't have any criminal record, they've been good citizens, I believe that we can actually have that number go up, but we will find a pathway to legalize them immediately. So all I say to you is immigration will continue to be important for Canada, but we will continue to make sure that we have a good reputation for our immigration system, that we are bringing workers that will fill in the needs. We will make sure that we have jobs for Canadians first, and the people who come to Canada are filling jobs that Canadians are not able to fill. Okay, moving forward.
Speaking of immigration, how would the Portuguese community in particular benefit if the Liberal Party remains in power?
Well, thank you for that question. So right now, it comes down to, Teresa, between choosing a leader. Do you want Mark Carney to be the Prime Minister of Canada, or do you want Pierre Poilievre to be the Prime Minister of Canada? If it's Pierre Poilievre, he did not vote in favor of the dental care plan. We will not have a national dental care plan. He did not vote in favor of national childcare. I do not know if we will continue to have national childcare. We have many other programs like the Canada Child Benefit, National Disability Program, the increase that we gave to seniors over 75, 10% extra. I don't know what will happen to those programs, Teresa, but the Conservatives under the leadership of Pierre Poilievre did not vote in favor of these programs, and everybody needs to be reminded of that. The other thing is Pierre Poilievre has political experience. He's a very good politician, very good, and he knows how to give very funny one-liners, big slogans. But if people are looking for calm, an adult, an experienced person who has public sector and private sector experience, who has the reputation and the people who respect him, the respect of the community here in Canada, the business community here in Canada and abroad, then we would pick Mark Carney. He will also protect the programs we have already invested in and already have launched. And he has also committed a very big program around housing, as I mentioned to you, doubling the number of housing, as well as more for national defense, and as well as making sure that we continue on the same path around immigration.
Finally, is there any message you would like to share with our Portuguese community?
Yes. So what I would say to the community is, look, there's a lot of disinformation and misinformation out there. So there's a lot of talk about, Prime Minister Mark Carney is the same like Prime Minister Trudeau. As someone who's worked with both, they are so different. Prime Minister Trudeau did not have a focus on the economy, did not have an economic background, but Mark Carney does, and he does have the reputation and the respect of the business community, both nationally and internationally. As well, there are some disinformation, not true, about the business dealings of Mark Carney. And this is all not true. And I think what happens is when political parties become desperate, they start spreading non-truths, so things that are not true. And it's important for the community to make sure that they're reading multiple sources. Go to CBC, the CTV, the newspapers, Toronto Star, some of our other newspapers to get the truth. So I just say, please make sure to inform yourself. The second thing I would say is vote. Vote. Please vote for the person that reflects your values. Please vote for the person that you think is going to protect your fund, your pensions, the programs that you care so much, that is going to make sure that we have a united Canada and a prosperous country moving forward. And so I just encourage people, we do have, voting day is Monday, April 28th. Make sure that, people look at their Elections Canada card. It'll tell them where their voting station is. Please make time to vote. It is important for the Portuguese community to have a say in who is going to be their local representative. So in my riding of Davenport, I hope it's me. And then for nationally, it's important to pick who you would like to have as our Prime Minister of this country.
Okay, thank you again, MP Julie Zerowitz, for the opportunity.
Muito obrigada, and thank you for this opportunity as well.
Muito obrigada.